Be bold. Be heard. Welcome to Unmute Your Mic with your host, Jessica Bell. The views, information, or opinions expressed during the podcast are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of Unmute Your Mic.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Unmute Your Mic. My name is Jessica Bell Terry. I am your host from Kansas City, Missouri, as always. Thank you so much for tuning in. If this is your first time, welcome. If you're returning, thank you for being a part of Unmute Your Mic family. Before we get started, please make sure to like, subscribe, and follow on YouTube, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, anywhere that you can find a podcast, as well as our website, unmuteyourmic.org. So if you've been following along for this month of September, I have been highlighting hometown heroes, people in Kansas City. Of course, I chose Kansas City. That's where I live and where I'm from. And I could not let this month go by without talking to Darron J. If you have been anywhere in Kansas City, you have probably seen him playing, heard his music where there was a church or the juke house or anywhere in between. So I'm super excited to have a conversation with you, Darron. Thank you so much for agreeing to be on my podcast. If you could just introduce yourself and let us know a little bit about you.
First off, Jessica, thank you for having me. Pleasure talking to you. But I'm Darron J, Kansas City grown. I have a band, producer. I sing. Name of my band is Go Hard, first off. I sing, I produce, I write, I play keyboard, start off on drums. I do a little bit of everything in music and try to keep my hands on a little bit of everything. Into fashion and into all that good stuff.
I was about to say, now don't start downplaying and make it sound like you bare. Oh, I just got a little small band. You know, we play in garages. No, can you can you let us know how you got started with Go Hard? Because a lot of us, we see you out there and it's all put together and we see where you're at now. But can you tell us just how you got started and how it got to be where it is today?
Well, like I said, I started off in church. A lot of people know that. They know I started off in church. I actually started off playing drums at my grandfather's church. Started off playing on the guy who taught me his lap because I wasn't tall enough to reach the pedals yet. So I started off that way. Then eventually worked up to being able to play on my own. My dad had a church, so once he moved from my grandpa's church and did his church, I was playing drums over there. So it kind of all started in church, and it all kind of led up to where I'm at now. I've never had, I'm going to be honest with you, never had aspirations of being a church musician. That's never been my thing. I've always been set on R&B, that kind of thing. That's always been my lane. Nobody can tell me that's not my lane because it's working. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I stuck to the plan, and most people don't stick to the plan. And don't get me wrong, it's been a different journey for me because I'm a PK, a pastor's kid, not just a preacher's kid, a pastor's kid, a prominent pastor's kid at that. Not saying it like that, but he is very prominent in the city. So it was expectations for me to be a pastor or a preacher and all that good stuff. And maybe as a kid, I kind of had those aspirations. But then, you know, you learn in life like, that ain't for me. That ain't going to be for me. And if ministry is for me, it's going to be in a style that I know that's going to work for me, which is in the club. Because I've had people, you know, I've been honest with you, had people say, I felt God by y'all playing. Like, because people know my band is basically church guys. Like, you know that we've been to church together. So, and we the same guys. I keep my same crew wherever I go. So it's, you know, just trying to stay consistent. But like I said, it all led up to where I'm at now. And Go Hard came established out of that. But I didn't start off with those guys. I started off with a whole different crew.
Okay, so that opens me up to, I got a couple of questions. So first, you talked about church and having kind of like to break out of what other people thought you should be. And I think that's a really important point because sometimes, we're growing up in a certain environment and they're like, this is what you're going to be because we're all this. So you're going to be this. So how hard was it for you to kind of break out of that? Like I said, like you said, you still play in churches, correct? But that's not, you didn't just stay in that lane. So how hard was it for you to kind of break out and say, I'm not just going to uh, keep the label that everybody thinks that I should have?
Actually, wasn't hard, honestly. I actually had to sneak around and do it because at first I was still living in my dad's house growing up, so I always knew after a while like I wanted to do R&B. So what happened was I started off rapping. Like people really don't know that I used to rap. So I used to go away to one of the members' houses from my dad's church. He would let me come use the studio, and I would go over there, make beats, rap. He was the only one. I was putting out mixtapes, and nobody knew I was doing the full like trap music, all that good stuff. Like so, it went from that like to everybody else is rapping. I don't want to do that no more. So I want to sing. Because I sung. I used to sing before my daddy preached. Me and my sister used to do the little duets so I grew up in church singing. So singing was really my first love. So I wanted to go back to that, and that's where just growing into R&B really became like my main focus. Like I really don't even like working with rappers right now unless you just that deal. I feel like you that deal, but other than that, like I want to focus on R&B.
And did you catch any backlash from that?
Oh yeah, of course. Mainly, I didn't like the backlash from my parents. You know what I mean? Like I really didn't care what people had to say about. I don't care. I really still don't care. Like you know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna keep up a facade that's not really me. And I really had to play that for a minute because I was the music director at my dad's church before I got fired. We can go into that if you want to. But yeah, I was the music director at my dad's church. So he wanted me to keep up I felt like he wanted me to keep up an image that I didn't really want to keep up. And if you really know me, I'm not going to do nothing that I don't want to do, like, period. So I believe it became more of a conflict of me playing in the club and then being, quote unquote, at church on Sunday morning, like you leaving the club playing. But I really don't think my dad had a problem with it. I think it was the people that was in his ear had a problem with it, so it became a problem for him, and it was more so, it's the image thing at this point. So, I'm neither here or there with the image thing. So you can have that image. I'm gonna create my own lane, and out of that, really, that's what motivated me to really push my brand the way it is. So it was a blessing, and being fired, honestly, because it freed me up to do what I want to do, with go hard and really create my own lane. Coming up with different ideas that I want to do, like, and nobody could tell me no. Like, I have a whole payroll now. Like, I have a payroll, so I'm my own boss. And not saying people are under me, but I do make sure my people eat real good. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I make sure my people eat real good.
And that's really important to take care of the people who are with you. Because I think we've both seen where you'll see the person who's kind of quote unquote at the top or in charge is eating good and everybody else is just getting like the scraps at the end. And I feel like nothing can truly be successful when you kind of have that model. But you also said too, you said, I don't do anything I don't want to do. Teach me your ways. How do you do that in life? Because that's like a big statement to make. And like in theory, that sounds good to me. But I'm like, dang, what would my life look like if I didn't do what I didn't want to do? So how have you been able to fit that into just being an adult and a parent and everything else?
Well, it came from actually being under somebody's stronghold. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so once I got free of being honest, being fired from my dad's church because I was under like can't do this, you got to do that. So, and I was still at an age, I wasn't at an age where I should have had myself figured out by then. But, you know what I mean? Like being PK, trying to live up to an image. That wasn't the first time I got fired. That was the second time I got fired. That's a whole different subject too. So, you know what I mean? It was like, yeah, it was freeing. Let me tell you that, like, just to really realize that you can do what you want to do when you want to do it. Your relationship with God is not contingent to what other people do or how they feel about what you're doing. I could care less what other people are doing. Like, do you. Whatever makes you feel happy, because you ain't got to answer to me. So that's what makes me feel the way I feel about stuff. That's how I handle everything in life. You're not going to make me do anything I don't want to do.
And you also talked a little bit about image, right? And people wanting you to have a specific image, and maybe the image of like playing at church, but then playing at the club and then going to church. But isn't it interesting that a lot of times the people that you're playing for on at the club the night before are the same people that you see in church? So what is your perspective on that? Because I feel like and maybe this is like I'm not trying to be messy, but I feel like I'm trying to figure out the best way to word it. But I feel like to me, that's kind of what real ministry is being able to do it in a way that brings people together, and that people can see that leaders can be human. Because if we can go to the club and then go to church, there should be no reason why you can't play at the club and then play at church. So what is your thought process on that?
My thing is, a lot of times we try to keep God boxed in. Like, so who said God ain't at the club? Like, who said God ain't at the Juke House or the Soul Lounge or wherever, Neo Soul Lounge, wherever we play at, or who said God ain't there? Like, because we've had moments in the Juke House on a Saturday or Monday at Soul Sessions where, yeah, man, yeah, you didn't have your little drink, everybody had their little, but yeah, you still felt God or whoever you believe in. Because I'm not knocking people with it. If you believe in something else, whatever works for you, fine. But I'm riding with Jesus. It worked for my grandparents and me, so I'm gonna go with that. I haven't seen anything different, but yeah, I just don't like when people keep themselves in a box because of or a rule or unwritten rule at that. Because I always say, what was they playing at the wedding that Jesus turned water into wine? They wasn't playing How Great Is Our God, because they was turned up. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to even play them kind of games. Like, so God is everywhere. Jesus went to the party. Why you can't go to the party? If you choose to drink, I wouldn't say get drunk, but he didn't say you couldn't drink. Like, people just got to, I don't know, man. Like, you got to have a personal relationship with God for yourself, and then you'll be able to get a full understanding of what you need to do. So I never judge anybody that went to the club, go to the club, because honestly, I need you to come. Like, I need them dollars. So come on. You ain't paying your tithes no way. So come on, bring them to the Juke House, man. Like, so, yeah.
Yeah, that's all I got to say to that. Yeah.
Right, to this one.
Right. But I think you brought a really good point about having a personal relationship with God, not letting it be tied to a person or a pastor or a church, but knowing what's best for you. And some people can have a drink or can do whatever, and it doesn't affect their relationship with God. And I feel like, who are we to, be like, nah, you're not as saved as me because you don't do this, that, and the third. And that's a whole nother conversation for another time. But I did want to get a little bit into Go Hard. So you said that the crew you're with now was not your original crew. So how did you kind of find your magic, find the people who you were like, okay, man, like this is it. These are going to be my people.
So first off, I'm going to always pay homage to my first crew. I'm not going to say my first crew. They're my brothers. We started this together. The idea of Go Hard came from myself and D'Angelo Cobbins. Actually, we were sitting in my living room. I was living in Atlanta when D'Angelo asked me about starting a band because he knew I was coming back to town. And we came up with the name of the band when I moved back in my living room. We was having rehearsals in my living room, doing all that kind of stuff. But the original members of Go Hard, D'Angelo Collins, I don't want to forget nobody, TJ Armand Nelson, TJ, Kevin Churchboy Johnson, Seth Anders, and myself. I believe that's B.A. Anthony Wright. Anthony B.A. Wright and myself. So it was about 7 of us. But it got established in my living room. We used to rehearse like nonstop. And everything that we did at that time was always in church. We never did any R&B group gigs or anything like that. They wanted to be in church. I was cool with it at the time. And what really had us form as a group was doing the first, not the first Toby and Tommy project, but it was the first live project for Toby and Tommy White. I'm not sure if you know them or not. But we did their first live project at Sheffield. And that's really that's how Go Hard got established. And further down the line, they wanted to stay in church. I didn't. So we all kind of went separate ways. Wasn't nobody doing nothing with Go Hard. I'm like, you know what? We done made a name for ourselves. I'm about to keep this going. So me and D'Angelo tried to keep it going together. We added a couple other pieces. But I was more so like the Dame Dash of the group. Like, yeah, sometimes they might have been better to me on keys or whatever. They might have been better, in my opinion, on keys and all that. But I was a business mind. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was always the one thinking business. Y'all can do music. I'm going to do music with y'all, but I'm going to make sure we get the money on the back end. And I promise you. So I was the aggressor. Like, I'm aggressive when it comes to that. I'm not. If you're not giving me what I want, I'm like that now, and I'll leave it. Like I don't need your money, so it's like that. But that's how Go Hard started, and then eventually, didn't nobody want to do R&B music? Like again, so I took it, ran with it, bought the name, LLC'd it, like it's mine. See, all that it's mine. Can't nobody come take it from me. But I do still use my guys if I need fill-ins or whatever. They still come in, play with me. They still go hard for life. That's always gonna be my crew. But my crew that I have now, Montel Jones, Ben Williams. I use a guy named George Stratham every now and then on lead guitar. That's my guy. Like the sound y'all hear now is the sound that we created. Like we created that sound together. It took a long time. Like I said, I keep the same crew. I don't do it's a lot of bands that are really not bands. They just piece stuff together. Oh, I need you on a Friday night. I need you. That's not a band. That's I ain't gonna say that. That's how I stop myself. That's you and your friends. That's how I'm gonna put it like that. It could sound good, but it ain't gonna be locked. Like that's my opinion. So, but yeah, I have a crew we locked in every Saturday at the Juke House and wherever else we playing at throughout the week. We gig 3 to 4 times a week sometimes. Well, most of the time. Ben Williams, Montel Jones, and I said George Stratham. Those are my guys. Yeah, I don't do too much without them.
And I think that's dope that you do keep the same people. I feel like it might make it easier for you too. You're not constantly looking like, oh, and your sound stays consistent. I know anytime I've heard you guys, when it's been all of you guys and it's a consistent sound, you don't go one day and be like, man, it sounds like trash today. And then, oh, it sounds real good this week. Like it's a consistent sound. And so I think that's dope that you've been able to, kind of create that group and the cohesive, group that just is like constantly learning and growing and creating a name for yourself in Kansas City. So what do you think the importance is of what you're doing in Kansas City with the music scene? What is the importance of it?
I really try to make it to where my step up is being creative, taking songs and making it our own, but still giving you the meat of the song. Like the song when we playing it, but you also I'm like, oh, I didn't hear that part. That sounds good. Like you know what I'm saying? Like we add to it. And of course, you've been around us. Montel is the aggressor. Like he goes bananas. So that just really enhances the sound. It makes my job easier. With being me, I mean, we all been playing together. So it's like, I don't have to really do too much of do this, do that. Like we know at this point, like, you know what I'm saying? Like even when we're being creative in our heads individually, we actually have hit the same notes and never talked about, like, you know what I'm saying? We that much locked in together to where it blows me sometimes. It blows my mind like, wow, that's crazy. Like, And I say that on stage, I have a good time with my crew on stage. Like I'm blessed. Like honestly, I'm blessed to have my crew and them are my brothers. They're not employees, them are my brothers. Even when I make decisions about Go Hard, I still, man, what y'all think, bro? Because y'all still got to rock with me. You know what I'm saying? Like even when I switch singers out, when we have them kind of issues, like who y'all want? Like I audition when they don't even know you being auditioned. Like you come in on the Saturday, I gotta fill you out. We gotta fill you out, see how it is. So now even with that, we've got to the point where we got a consistent crew as far as like singers. I can bring in. You might get a different singer every week at the Groove. We changed the name of it now. It's called the Groove now. It's not Cheers no more. It's the Groove. So you might get a different singer every week, man. So yeah, we just try to keep consistency in everything we do. Yeah, and keep the brand fresh and new.
So where do you see Go Hard going in the next, 5 to 10 years? I know most people who are in Kansas City, they don't want to just be like known in Kansas City. The goal is to be known outside of Kansas City. So is that a goal? Is that something you guys are already doing or working towards? Where can you see you guys in the next, 5 to 10 years?
Man, we already out of the city. We be in Tulsa, we in St. Louis, we in wherever they call, man. Like, but I travel a lot by myself just to sit in and see like what other bands are doing. I go to Memphis all the time and just to see how they rock down in Memphis, and that kind of helps me to see what I need to do better when I come back home. Like St. Louis is really what kind of got me focused on really locking in with the band. It's a group down there called Mark Harris and the Avengers. And Mark Harris, I didn't know nothing about them. I just went down there on a humbug for the what did I go down there for? The Mally Music concert. And I seen how they were just so locked in, and it almost made me cry. Like I got to go back home and get my guys locked in. And I was shooting videos and sending it back to the crew like, hey, bruh, we got to get like this locked in. And we really didn't get locked in until the pandemic. Like on Saturdays when nobody was there. So we was treating it like rehearsal because nobody could come out. We was starting doing shows from 4 to 7. Who's coming out at 4 o'clock on a Saturday? You know what I mean? But it was still good practice for us. You know what I mean? Like, so we got locked in really during the pandemic, and that kind of helped us in that area. We really locked in during the pandemic as well because when nobody was doing shows, we was doing live shows on the internet. Like, you know what I mean? Like really setting it up. So if we got different views and everybody just wanted to use your phone, like, nah, we want to tap in to where it's real audio. I had sound people coming in, really trying to give people an experience and have, because you was missing shows anyway because you wanted to be out. So I was really trying to give people the experience. And then once we was able to get out, we did the pull-up out there at De La Salle. So just wanted to always keep the brand going, even while I was doing the pandemic. Kept money in my guys' pocket during the pandemic, you know what I mean? Like, so I just always wanted to keep my business going and all that good stuff.
And so for people who are listening, they can hear that, like, clearly you're an entrepreneur. Like, this is yours. You own it. You don't have anybody really telling you what to do. But who are some people that you maybe look up to, or people who, because I know everyone, maybe not so much a mentor, but just some people who you're like, if you have questions or you want to learn and grow from, do you have anyone specifically that you kind of pull from, or is this really just kind of off the top of your head?
Well, honestly, to be quite honest with you, who showed me the ropes as far as like R&B here in Kansas City was Anthony Harvey, A Hard from the Truth Band. Like he was always, people always used to try to put us against each other because it was Go Hard and the Truth. The Truth is one of the top bands in the city. We one of the top bands in the city, but it was never like that. It was always love. You know what I'm saying? So if I had any questions about what prices I should charge at the time, like now I do whatever. But at the time I was asking A Hard, like, what should I charge this be? And bro would help me. Like, you know what I'm saying? He would tell me who to deal with and who not to deal with. He's one of the people from here. Jason Betts was one of the people that helped me as far as like getting on stage. He would let me play anytime. Like, bro, just come up here and play. Like, all right, cool. And Harvard's like that too. Because he was doing soul sessions before me. So Hard was like that too. Like I wasn't really trying to do R&B at first. I wanted to do it, but I wanted to figure out how they moved in the scene. So Hard like let me know if I had any questions. He would let me know. Just like Jason Betts, he would let me know as well. Musically, I would say the most influential person for me is PJ Morton. Like that's been the ultimate like mentor from a distance, inspiration, who I try to pattern myself. I try to pattern myself after him on keys and Mark Harris in St. Louis. Mark Harris is crazy. But I try to pattern myself after them too, musically and business wise. Being calm on the business wise, I looked at Jay-Z, but being aggressive on the business wise, it will always be Dame Dash to me.
You were like, I'm Dame Dash. You already took that. I got that. That's kind of dope though. So what are some of the biggest lessons you've learned so far? Because I know that to get to where you are now, and even though you are going to be so much bigger than where you are now, but you're huge now, right? And when you first started, you weren't. You didn't just wake up and Go Hard was a brand with a band. And so what were some of the biggest lessons you learned along the way?
I think I might have I probably learned the biggest lesson I probably learned was probably getting my feelings out of it. Like, that makes sense. Like although I love my band, I love my brand, but it ain't for everybody to be around on this journey. So when people left or wanted to do their own thing, yes, it hurt for a minute. It stung for a minute, but I moved on. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so I had to learn after a while, just get your feelings out of it. Because if you get your feelings into it, you'll start taking stuff personal. And it's really not personal. And it's been people that I helped get to where they at. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, not saying I put anybody on. I will never say I put anybody on. Never. But I've helped you get in front of people that you probably wouldn't have been able to get in front of if I didn't allow my stage to be open to you. I will say that. But, that's probably the biggest lesson I had to learn. Like, get your feelings out of it.
How do you do that? Because I know it's easy to say like, oh, keep your feelings out of it. But I know that had to have been a process for you. And so how did you do it? Because I know there have been people who I know who cannot keep their feelings out of it. And you see stuff crash and burn because they're emotional. The decisions are emotional. Everything they do is just emotions, emotions, emotions. And it's done. So I know that you've done that clearly because you've been able to consistently build a brand. But how did you do it?
I learned from church. Like, thanks. Because, like, the person that I thought would never fire me, fired me. Like, so it was like, no, it's a business on every aspect. And I knew it was always a business, but you never thought that I never thought that I would get fired from the person that, you know what I mean? Like, in that situation. So, church taught me, like, get your feelings out of it, bro. Like, church people already move off emotions anyway. You get the shout music and you're emotional. So, you already move off emotions. You're being trained to move off emotions. So.
Oh, geez. Okay. Yeah. I didn't think you were going to say church was teaching you to be emotionless, but I could see it actually. Yeah. So, well, look at the time. If you could just spend a minute to talk to somebody who's listening that maybe has a dream, a goal, or aspiration. Maybe it's not music, maybe it is, but they're like, there's something I want to do, there's something I feel called to do. But maybe they're just struggling with it, or they're struggling with identity, or somebody else telling them what they should do. If you could just take a minute to just kind of give them some words of encouragement, I think that would be beneficial.
I mean, like this, man. You only got one life. What we call it, YOLO. Is that what they say? That's what the kids say now. Okay, so I tell people like this: no matter what you want to do in life, don't let nobody discourage you from it. Your parents, your pastor, your family, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whatever you deal with, your dog. Don't let nobody discourage you from doing what you want to do. Always keep a drive, meaning like keep that energy in you to keep going. Like even when you don't want to go. Like it's days where I don't feel like practicing. It's days where I don't feel like going to the gym. But it's other people. Have somebody that motivates you. Somebody that you don't know. Like, you know what I mean? The reels on Instagram, that really works. Because you could be laying there, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, bro, this man is in the gym. You got to get up. Or this man is practicing. So you got to get up. And then you always got to remember somebody else is on your heels trying to do the same thing that you're going to do. So how are you going to make yours stand out more than others? So, and that's why I really try to keep my brand different. Like, if you see my flyers, probably the dopest flyers in the city. I mean, you know, I ain't gonna say that, but I'm saying that. And we doing a rebranding thing right now. So check out the new flyer on Facebook. So we doing different stuff right now. So, but yeah, like everybody that got a dream, got to go. Keep pushing towards it. Keep living for it, and don't let nobody tell you no. And tell them no. It's okay to say no. You don't have to shortchange yourself to get into the door, because that's what I won't do. I won't short. I sit at home with my feet up before I shortchange myself. You know what I mean? So, yeah, and keep people around you that's going to keep you motivated.
That's good. Okay, I'm going to be taking notes from this. You gave me a lot of quotables on this interview. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Where can we find you? How can people find you, get connected with you, your band? Can you just let us know that information real quick?
I'm on Facebook, Darron J. If you want to follow me on my personals, I can get into that as Darron J. You'll find that. The band stuff, Go Hard Band on all social media, Instagram, Facebook, and we working on TikTok and Twitter. We got Twitter. Follow us on Twitter. All that good stuff. And can I shout out the band one more time?
Of course.
All right, let me shout out my band one more time. We got Montel Jones on drums, Ben Williams on bass, George Stram on lead guitars. He with us every now and then. My singers, I got Jerron Nichols, Jay Medley, aka Jay Melody, Jay Soul. And honestly, Jay Soul was the one that really kind of developed my sound, because I've been rocking with Jay Soul for we like Peaches and Herb. Like we've been rocking with each other. We helped like the past 6 years. So that's my dogs. Jay Soul is my sister. That's my girl. We got Tiff Sings. Tiff Sings is kind of new on the scene, but she doing her thing. So like follow all them on social media. But I appreciate all them. I'm nothing without them. Like that's Go Hard, man. That's my family. That's who I rock with. And also shout out to Carlton Rashad, and Ty Jones. They ain't singing with us right now, but they rock with us. So that's what I'm saying. Like I don't forget where and my girl, Stephanie Mitchell. I'm not forgetting nobody, even if you ain't singing with us no more. It's all love. Y'all can rock with us. You know, I'm always a phone call away. Let's get.
Okay. I thought I was about to have to start playing that music they play at the award show when somebody just be talking. I'm like, who? Okay. I think it is super dope that you pay homage to the people who have been a part or who are a part, because I think it's something to say for somebody who realizes that even if it maybe is something they are leading or a part of, that it's not just them. And so I love that. I love that you're not like, oh, I got this. This is me and I can make it without anybody. Because everybody does need somebody. And I think that it's dope that you treat the people around you right so that they want to be a part of it. And it's cool as somebody who has seen you and been at your events to know that that same feeling I get from the band is what y'all truly are and not just, people just putting on. So I want to thank you again.
Thank you
for this interview and just for everything that you do in Kansas City. The music scene is very important. It gets a lot of people into a positive environment. I've never been to one of your events and it's been drama or messy or It's cool, it's good, fun, it's calm. And I think we need that, especially in Kansas City. We need places where you can be like, oh, we can just go to the juke house and chill and listen to some good music and eat some chicken and drink some Long Island iced teas, and just enjoy it. So I thank you for everything that you are doing in Kansas City, because a lot of times people are watching and we don't even realize that you're inspiring a whole generation of people under you who, like, man, they're looking at you and saying, oh, I want to do that when I get older. And I know that makes us seem like real old, but we old enough to have people looking up to us at this point. So I just want to thank you again for this interview. Thank you for your honesty, your truth, and everything that you're doing in the city. If you are tuning in just now, please go back and watch this entire interview, because he's dope and he's funny and got a great personality. And I think you will be inspired by some of the things that Darron is doing. Thank you again, Darron.
Thank you.
And thank you, everybody, for listening to another episode of Unmute Your Mic. As always, you can like, subscribe, and follow on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, anywhere that you can find a podcast. You can always go to unmuteyourmic.org. There you will see this interview. You will also find some information to stay connected with Darron J, not just him, but the other members of Go Hard. So make sure to like and follow and tune in to any of his events that he has going on around the city. Don't forget to be bold, be heard, and continue to unmute your mic. Thank you, Darron.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Unmute Your Mic. Be sure to tune in next time when Jessica takes her mic off mute as she continues her journey to find stories that inspire and uplift our communities.